Hey you all, it's Adam Conrod here. I gotta sit here and ask you guys a question. Despite of all the negativity what we see that's going around the world today with this racism on gun force stuff that's taking place, it's been concerning, and I gotta say something. The reason why the things that we see the way they are before us today is because you at home, myself, and all of us in our community in our province, our state, our country, and the world around us is because we've allowed it to happen. There is and has been and always will be a group of people that will try to promote some kind of hate no matter what it takes to promote a hateful thing or topic. It's because they like to throw gas on an issue that's not an issue and they like to create that issue to become an issue or becomes problematic down the road. Police work hard on the job what they do to protect us, our communities, our family, our friends. And the problem with law enforcement, not only law enforcement, let's talk about the criminal justice system also. Here in Nova Scotia, I'm going to talk about here in Nova Scotia specifically. This has been going on for years and years and years within the police enforcement and the criminal justice system. I do not believe people are being sorted out because of their race. I do not believe that's the case at all. I believe it's because that is where the police are getting the calls to attend these calls, whatever they may be. The reason why the things are the way they are, it's because of a group of people who make things worse than what it actually is. And there's always be a person or a group of people who does not want to accept things the way how they are. Yes, it may feel like that they sort you out at times. Police and the courts may sort you out at times. But the problem is it doesn't rely within the place itself. The problem relies within the government, all levels of government, provincial, federal, and municipal. And it's because we've allowed it to happen and take place. The wrong people getting elected is because we've allowed it to happen. Part of the problem with the criminal justice system, people are not given a fair trial because courts are often based on who got the most money, what lawyer can they afford, what lawyer can they cannot afford. Because of that, that's the way how the ruling goes, which is unfortunate and is unfair. The Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement. I do not support it because not at any time would I ever would even want to support anything against anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a police officer, a firefighter, the average person walking across the street, uh, somebody who just been released from prison. Not at any time would I ever come to a conclusion without the facts being put before us at any time. Just because somebody who was released from prison has a criminal record or a questionable background doesn't mean that gives us the right to come to a conclusion without going before the facts before us. That officer, what we seen with that individual that was arrested with the officer's knee on the back of this guy's head, for us to come to a conclusion without going over the facts will be unprofessional, uncalled for, and unconstitutional. There had to have been some sort of evidence to back up for a charge against this officer, but not at any time would I ever support anything against anybody, no matter who you are, without the full story brought forward and the facts. Support, whatever. We don't know if this individual evaded arrest. We don't know if this individual was obeying a police orders and he told him to lay down on the ground. We don't know. But there's always a group of people that will not admit to the wrongdoing. Uh, Dartmouth, Walmart. Walmart. A woman was arrested for shoplifting. She defended it. She said, "No, I wasn't shoplifting." In fact, she took it to the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission, and they looked into it. And then I believe she tried to have it tossed out of court, and the courts refused. What had happened was she was shopping in a suspicious manner. She was shopping with her items hidden under her jacket. Now, you and I know if you're going to shop and put your items hide them under your jacket, you're causing suspicion, and it's security may have to go over and see what you're doing. For her to have a wrestling match with the police officer to say that she was sorted out because of her race, I don't believe that none whatsoever. Because the police are going by what they got here on their security cameras. And if you're acting in a suspicious manner, and if you're causing the police to be a little concerned about you when you're not obeying their orders, what they're giving you, resisting arrest, lay on the ground, whatever it is, they have to do what they have to do. And for the Human Rights Commission to toss her claim out is an eye opener, because that means that there was no racial profiling done. But it does mean that the accused is taking things where it doesn't need to be because it was already investigated. They came to a conclusion that no racial profiling was ever done. You and I at home have to realize one thing. The accused, once being proven, are going to do whatever it takes to get off that hot seat. And they will try any card, they'll try any game to get off that. If it's a racial profiling gimmick that they'll try, if it's whatever, they will try it. Why? It's majority of the time it's because they don't want to live up to the wrongful doing. But here's the thing. Nova Scotia. Here's the problem in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia. Here's the problem in Nova Scotia. The poverty rates are getting higher than they ever been. I think Nova Scotia got one of the highest poverty rates in Canada. Affordable housing is not affordable, even though that the government says it is. People can't afford to put food on their table no longer to feed their families or themselves. People are going without the proper health care. People are going without people with mental health issues. People with mental health issues are going without a doctor. They can't get their proper treatment. People with mental health issues that got to go to court are often in fear of going to jail because not only because of their disability, but because Crown prosecution or the police or even the courts can steer the mentally ill accused in the wrong direction with fear of going to jail, losing their liberties, freedom, and be put into a very dangerous living environment, jail. Not everybody can survive in jail. Nova Scotia's jails are unsafe to be in. The East Coast Forensic Hospital has said it before. The East Coast Forensic Hospital has said it before. There's more people going in than there is coming out. There's more people living in the East Coast Forensic Hospital because their risk level is too high to come out in the community. And not only is the risk level too high to come back out in the community, but it's because there is no services for them when they go back out in the community. And not only that, they're not mentally capable of looking after themselves. And when you get people like that, that's an indicator that we got to make our province come up with another solution. Where do we put these people that's so mentally ill, where they can't look after themselves, remove them from a hospital, put them in a living environment where they're looked after so the mentally ill who's in jail can gain access to the mental health hospital, the East Coast Forensic Hospital, so people can get the help what they need. And because of these people that's in the East Coast Forensic Hospital, where the risk levels are so high where they can't survive on their own, so the people in jail who need to gain access to East Coast Forensic Hospital are often turned back to jail, do their time with a criminal record, because East Coast Forensic Hospital is too small to accommodate the people who need to gain access to the hospital. And you and I are the ones that can bring that to an end. What's wrong is Keith Caldwell, Steve Stretch, David Hinsby, Let's look at the Savages. John Savage, Mike Savage, been in office many times. I mentioned Steve Stretch. His father was in provincial politics himself, along with his sister, Judy Stretch. All these political people that you've been seeing be going in and out of this political door many a times. In and out, in and out. Now, the Confederate flag. Not at any time, or would even want to, use that flag for what that flag is not meant to be. The Confederate flag, for me, is used during my videos, fan videos of the Dukes of Hazzard, which does quite well with the fans around the world. The Confederate flag is about heroism in the Confederate War. It was never ever meant for hate, slavery, and all the negativity which you see around it. I said it before and I'll say it again. And I encourage everybody, contact your member of parliament, whoever that is. Ask and demand federal laws be in place that protect all national flags across Canada. Confederate flag should have been one of them. Look at the swastika banner. The Nazis, the flag what they used. Did you know? Did you know that that flag was a flag of peace before Hitler got his hands on it? So the Nazis get a hold of it. So now that flag is meant for everything what it was not meant to be. Confederate flag, the same thing. Confederate flag is about a Confederate Civil War, heroism, greatness, everything in America. So these wrong people get their hands on it. So now the flag is a symbol of hate not because they used it for the wrong reasons, because you allowed them to play that hate game and you fell for it. The Confederate flag, for me, I got great pride in it. Will I take it down? No. Why? Because I got respect for what the flag really means. And not at any time would I ever play any card game of any hate. Don't use this flag for this or that. Some people make things worse than what it actually is, and that Confederate flag is not what it was made out to be. The flag is about great heroism. And when I do my Dukes of Hazzard fan films, that Confederate flag is limited for the obvious reasons, only for the generally and the generally only. And when you look at the Dukes of Hazzard itself, Warner Brothers, who owns the rights to the show, they stopped using the Confederate flag for their shows for the Dukes of Hazzard's main logo. Now it's the 01, like I started doing, instead of the Confederate flags. They did what I did. We reduced the Confederate flag to only the generally only, and that's it. It always will be. And the reason why that flag was used on the show was because it was a Southern show. And what flag are you going to use? That's going to be Southern, Confederate flag. Well, I suggested to Warner Brothers, this is a true story. What flag is Southern that can be used on the generally besides the Confederate flag? You never heard nothing back. I think that can be accomplished. And I also think it can be accomplished if the United States federal government or our Canadian federal government was to put national laws in place to protect national flags. If this hate group was to use this flag for the wrong purposes, they could face public prosecution, which I support. And I don't know why they don't pass this law. It makes no sense. So in a way, the people who we elect are creating more problems than what they're actually elected to do. My advice to a police officer, I actually have advice, believe it or not. If you ever encounter somebody that's mentally ill, do not, do not put them through the criminal justice system. Try to get a mental health court or the NCR verdict if you are not 100% positively sure that you can get them into that system. Because the last thing what you need is prosecution steering them in a direction where they don't need to be. Here's the thing. If you were ever to steer someone that's mentally ill in jail, you're not getting them the help what they need. In fact, you're making them more angrier than they ever been. And then when they come out of jail, when their time's been served, they're more aggressive and more open to commit more crimes and even bigger crimes than they ever committed because of your contribution to put them in jail or in the criminal justice system. So my advice to any police officer, if the RCMP, Halifax Regional Police, Truro Police, whatever, do not engage with anybody that's mentally ill into a system that you are not 100% positively sure that you can get them into. Because the last thing you want to do is create this situation worse.
Well, I guess we only got one choice.
Go for it.
Just a TV show, never meaning no harm, telling country tales and stories with a little bit of southern charm. But because of a flag, they took us off TV. They say we're racist, bigoted, homophobic, that's news to me. The libs have gone mad, trying to make us PC. They think by banning our show they can change history. The libs have gone mad, trying to make us PC. Yeah. They don't like the South's culture or its history. Now I'm a TV show, and America loves me. But what they don't understand, that because one crazy man, we're now banned from TV.